Hello and welcome to another episode of the Farr Show, where I am Damian Farr, and tonight we're talking about Bond, James Bond. Oh, I hit the lens hood. That was a good one. You didn't see a bunch of these because, well, I was doing a good filming here, and then, well, some kids ran past my house, and you could hear them in the background, so we cut those. But that was the best shot I've had so far, other than hitting the actual screen of the camera. Let's just show them right here. James Bond. Which, you know, that's so, going to it here, we're talking about No Time to Die. The final Daniel Craig James Bond. As a guy who's seen every James Bond movie, which isn't fun, I'll be honest there, and who's read all the Ian Fleming books. I did a previous video, we'll put it up in the eye above. So, we're going to talk about Bond, James Bond, No Time to Die in particular. So, let's start talking about, we got Daniel Craig as James Bond, Rami Malek as Lucifer Selfin, which I loved him. Rami Malek did perfect. I liked how this movie was realistic, but at the same time it had the campiness of these old Bond movies that I watched all of them, obviously. I've seen all of them, and this movie just had it. I loved it. Campy villain, but realistic as hell. You got Leah Sandux. I can't pronounce names. We already know that. As Dr. Madeline Swan, coming back from the last movie. They have been in love, it looks like, for a couple of months now. A couple of years even, maybe. Who knows? You got Latasha Lynch as Naomi, the new 007. Ben Whishaw as Q. We got Naomi Harris as Eve Moneypenny. Jeffrey Wright as Felix Luthor, who I think is the best Felix of all the actual Felixes that we've had in all these movies. You got Christoph Waltz as Ernest Starvel Blofeld. Rutherford Fiennes as M. And Anna Dam Adams, as I like to call her, as Pamela? So, we're starting to talk about these movies. We're going to talk about this one in depth. Like, I got the whole plot. This is going to be one of the longest plot summaries. This movie is a long movie, so let's start talking about it. What that means is spoilers. But before we get into the plot and the spoilers, this is probably one of the last times we're using the Bond cam. I just thought I'd let it be known. I love having the Bond cam, but it takes up, this half of the screen, and you lose that. And then also you lose the fact that I can't throw a movie poster up. So, though there's not going to be really any movie posters other than No Time to Die here, I just like the idea, of having the movie posters as an option to put here. So, as much as I liked the Bond cam, it's time to go. The GoPro was cool as well. The GoPro left, and I modernized or adapted with that. I would like to honestly put the Bond cam here once in a while. Like, have a mic view. I think that'd be pretty sweet. So, that may happen every once in a while. It's still going to be called the Bond cam, even though it's going to be right next to a microphone. So, I just wanted to point that out. So, we start with Bond and Madeline Swan in Meritra. I don't know where that is. Spectre ambushes Bond when he visits Vesper Lynd's tomb. MI6 is developed... So, pretty much, he thinks that Madeline had something to do with this, but it does not seem to be. MI6 is developing bioweapons. That is explained pretty quickly on, that they're developing bioweapons that they didn't want to use for bioweapons, honestly, but let's be honest. A lot of things end up becoming a bioweapon. Anytime I fart, it's like a bioweapon over here. So, in all seriousness, Bond is then contacted by Felix Luthor because he's, for lack of a better term, gone. He disappeared off the map. Bond mates Naomi, the new 007, who he thinks tries to have sex with him, but, she's just trying to say, stay out of my way or else. Then he meets Palmyra in Cuba, which I think if any character needs a spin-off movie, it is Anna Dam Adams' character here. She needs a spin-off movie. If you're not going to make another Bond movie, I'm fine with that. I'm okay with no more Bond movies, honestly. Though we are going to talk about who I think should be the next Bond. But I feel like this is the perfect character. 3 weeks of training, more like 3 years. But honestly, I would love to see her get her own spin-off movie. Whoever, Eon, make it happen. So, pretty much she's gone undercover in Spectre, and, infiltrated, and she and Bond go to this party. And then, well, everybody in Spectre dies that was there because the DNA coding got messed up. So, pretty much what happens is they get the DNA, Bond regroups with Felix, and Palmyra? I have no idea to pronounce it. She leaves and is not seen anymore in the movie, which is sad because, like I said, she's one of the better characters. So, they get to this oil rig of some kind, and then what happens is the CIA guy that told them to be there, well, he screws over them and kills Felix, which sucks. And then what happens is, eventually, Bond escapes, goes back to MI6, who thought he was dead. Well, he then meets Moneypenny and Q, and they arrange a meeting between Bond and Blofeld. And when he does, they get Madeline Swan back in because that's the only person that she's, or Blofeld's wanted to talk to. But before that happens, a big major thing happens, which is you meet the guy that she shot when she referenced it in Spectre. It's the opening scene, but I feel like it's better to just talk about it here. You meet the guy that she shot, and he's like, I need you to do something for me. And she sprays herself with the chemical weapon, which is going to kill Blofeld if she touches him. Well, she gets it on Bond, and once it's on you, it stays there. So he goes to interrogate Blofeld, and he touches her and infects himself. Blofeld tells Bond that he planned the ambush at Vespa's tomb to make it look like Madeline betrayed him. Bond attacks Blofeld, infecting him and killing him. Bond then tracks down Madeline to her childhood home in Norway. He learns that Madeline has a child. Madeline confesses that her father murdered Saffron's parents on Blofeld's order. Saffron wants revenge on Blofeld and Spectre. He already got it on Spectre and Blofeld, but then he gets his revenge and wants to continue his rampage. Saffron's men try to capture Bond and are able to capture Madeline and Method, the daughter of Madeline. Q, Bond, and Naomi locate Saffron on a World War II base in between Japan and Russia, which is something that they've been contesting, who owns the rights to it, or who owns that island, which is kind of cool. They infiltrate his base, converted the base into a nanobot factory. Saffron can release them globally, establishing a new world order for himself. Bond rescues Madeline and the daughter, has them escape with Naomi. Bond stays behind to destroy the facility. Saffron shoots Bond, infecting him, meaning he can't go to Madeline, so he just stays on the island and dies. Bond kills Saffron. Madeline tells Bond that she's her daughter. Bond tells her to move on. MQ and Moneypenny have a drink in Bond's honor, and as they drive off, Madeline tells Mathilda about her father. So, I know that's a lot. Like I said, it's a long movie, 2 hours, 45 minutes about. I'd just say 2 hours, 40, honestly. So, there was a lot of me looking down. Sorry. Just wanted to give you the great plot, I guess. Honestly, I was surprised with how good this movie was. I did not think it would be this good, so I'd give it an FAR. So, now we're at the main attraction. When I talk about all the rankings for the Bond movies. So, let's start doing it. We're going to rank every Bond movie. And we're starting with Casino Royale from 1967. I'd give this an F-. And I know what you're thinking. Damien, you can give an F-? Yeah, I made up the rules. I can do whatever I want. I mean, I'm a power-hungry man. It's a parody film where they have multiple James Bonds, and I didn't want to sit through this. This movie is terrible. Utterly terrible. Skip this one at all costs. Do not watch it. Just skip it. So it's going to be the only F- that I probably ever give. I do not recommend watching it. Never again. Oh. That's why I had that. I wanted to shoot the Spidey cam. So, terrible movie. Don't ever watch it once again. Never again. So, then we got On Her Majesty's Secret Service from 1969. And I pretty much just put here, because we're given really quick synopsis of these movies. No wonder why George Lazenby was dropped. He was not a great Bond and just didn't feel right, honestly. Then you got You Only Live Twice, which I just put as an F here as well. It's pretty forgettable. So, the next one, A View to Kill, is also an F. Christopher Walken, though, may have been one of the best Bond villains, honestly. So, now we're out of the F range. So 20... A View to Kill, You Only Live Twice, On Her Majesty's Secret Service were all Fs. Casino Royale is an F-. I know what you're going to say. Can't you give a 0? I guess an F- is close enough, honestly. You got Die Another Day, which is an FA. It's the last Pierce Brosnan film, which wasn't great, honestly. Pretty forgettable. I want to point out, as we continue going on here, because we're going to quickly pause, these movies, as I was watching them, started to blend more and more together, because they're the same formula, honestly. And that's both not a good and that's both a good and a bad thing. It's like AC/DC. You know what you're getting, but at the same time with AC/DC, the songs don't all blend together per se. I mean, when you think of AC/DC, there's the great singles and then the rest of the album that blends together, which I'll be honest is true, but it's still kind of like, come on. Then you got Thunderball, which was from 1965. It takes place in the Bahamas. That's really all I got for you here. Like I said, they all started to blend together, and I don't really have... If you want to see a plot synopsis, just go to IMDb for these. We got Octopussy, a woman with all women guards, and an octopus that kills people. What a movie. Then we got The Living Daylights, which is 1987. Timothy Dalton looked like he was trying too hard. I want to point that out. A lot of people have Timothy Dalton as their favorite Bond. He is not mine. I think he tried too hard. So, just personal preference. Then we got Dr. No, the first James Bond movie ever made. And FA, which started it all. Sean Connery was pretty good. He was a really classy dude, honestly. Like, he looked really good in the part. The World Is Not Enough, and FA, I thought it was oddly good. I was surprised. That's what I got here. Oddly good. Then we got For Your Eyes Only from 1981. Good amount of water in this movie. There's a lot of diving and everything here, which is perfectly fine. I'm okay with diving. The end line was kind of hot, where she just was like, they cut away and, you know, they do the he's having sex thing, which they did a lot in the old movies, where she's like, for your eyes only, darling, and takes off her, I don't know what she was wearing at the time, but it's kind of hot when you think about it. Well, then we got Quantum of Solace, which I would say is Daniel Craig's worst James Bond movie, and it's pretty much a revenge movie. He's getting revenge for Vespa's death, which is fine by me. Then we got Never Say Never Again from 1983. It's a more realistic take on James Bond. It's also the other non-Eon movie, but Sean Connery is back in this one. But it has terrible pacing. The beginning was great, and then it just fell flat. Then we got From Russia with Love from 1963. Better quality than Dr. No, because this was the one that came right after Dr. No. The book is great also if you want to read that one. If you want to read one of the books, that's the one to read other than Casino Royale. Then we got Tomorrow Never Dies from 1997 with current day jokes, because these movies are kind of dated, so that one had some, you know, cool modern day jokes. Then we got Spectre from 2015, excuse me. Bond falls in love again, which is great to see, because I like the arc of the James Bond movies. We're going to talk about it in a little bit here, of the Daniel Craig James Bond movies. We'll talk to it when we get to the final one here. Then we got Moonraker, which I feel like I need to look at this one, from 1979. This movie is campy as hell. and I love it for that. The dart managed to come back to me too, which was amazing. So I love this movie. It's campy as hell, but it's so good at the same time. Definitely one that I would recommend if you want a weird, like, it's pretty much a Star Wars ripoff with James Bond, which is perfectly fine by me. I love Star Wars, I love James Bond, so you mish the two together and you get this, I'm okay with that. Then we got License to Kill, which is the first Farr James Bond movie we got here. And it's just a good old-fashioned revenge story once again. One of his James Bond's coworkers is killed, and then, you know, he goes to kill somebody. Then we got Goldfinger from 1964, which is an Farr. It starts some of the trademarks, which is amazing. The trademarks weren't really in the first two movies, like Shaken Not Stirred wasn't there. Was one of the big ones. He gets the car, the Aston Martin DB5 finally. In the first two movies, he didn't say. The only thing that was there was James Bond, which is cool, but still. Then we got The Man with the Golden Gun, we got The Spy Who Loved Me from 1997, which all I got here is Jaws dental plan. That's gotta suck. I mean, how much did his dentist pay for him to get those? What happened to his teeth? What happened? Then we got The Man with the Golden Gun, which I have here for 1974. I got Christopher Lee here because Christopher Lee was one of the best Bond villains as well. One Shot, One Kill here is noted. Now we're getting to the part where it's kind of like, we're getting there. We got Live and Let Die, which when you watch this movie, they will play the songs instrumental like 4 or 5 times. So you'll be thinking, da-na-na, na-na-na, na-na. Never again. So it's also Roger Moore's first movie, and I think his best movie, honestly. And it has one of the best songs. I wouldn't say the best. We'll get to that in a second here. But then we got Skyfall from 2012, which is an Farr. It has the best James Bond song by a long shot here. And then I love the mother and son dynamic between Bond and M. I thought that was pretty amazing that they did such a thing, and I loved it. So that was definitely a good one. Then I know what you're thinking. Damien, you got this one this high already? No Time to Die. Which we already talked about the plot and everything, so I don't think we really need to explain it. Then we got GoldenEye from 1995 as an Farr. Pierce Brosnan's first movie and the one that inspired the game. And I think good movie once again. I think the game is definitely amazing, but the movie I actually really enjoyed. It didn't have, it wasn't too campy, it was a more serious take. And I noticed that with the guy who directed it, Martin Campbell. He directed this one, and he directed my favorite James Bond movie. The only one that I'd give an Farr. Casino Royale. Which you have Daniel Craig, my favorite Bond, based off the book Casino Royale, which is, I don't think I put it as my favorite book, but it's the one that I continue to read over and over again. Such a good movie. This is the first James Bond movie I saw. First Bond that I got into was Daniel Craig. I loved that it was an arc, so the first movie was about his loss. The second movie was revenge. The third movie was, again, about, his mother being killed, pretty much. So it was a sad movie in a way, where his mother is killed, or, his mother figure is killed. Then you got Spectre, which is where he falls in love again. And then you got No Time to Die, where he is willing to sacrifice himself for his wife, presumably would have been his wife and child. So I thought that was good. So now we're doing one last thing. We talked about it every time we've done this. Who's going to be the next James Bond? I've talked about it in a video previously, so we're going to go more in depth in this one, because this is going to be the definitive James Bond movie, or James Bond video that I would recommend watching. And then we'll still do movies, but we're never going to do a ranking of this size again. So let's start talking about, we got to start here with who was previously Bond. Sean Connery. He was in 6 films. I put down their height, 6'2", and he was Scottish. George Lazenby was 1 film, 6'2", and Australian. Roger Moore, 6'1", English. We got Timothy Dalton, 6'2", British. Pierce Brosnan, 6'1", Irish. Daniel Craig, 5'10", English. So, the reason I point that out is it's primarily English men who play Bond for obvious reasons. He's works for England. I mean, isn't that not obvious? But you did have some others, like there was Scottish, there was Australian for one movie, and then there was Irish. So these are the guys that I think could take over the reins, and they're in alphabetical order. I don't really think some of these should be there, but my personal picks are my picks, so let's start doing it here. We got Harry Styles. He's starting to make an acting presence be known, and I think he's a pretty good actor. Do I think he could hold a Bond movie? Honestly, no, but still, he's 6 feet and he's English. This is my front runner with this one other guy that we're going to talk about in a second. Henry Cavill. He's 38 and 6'1". He was originally in the casting run with Daniel Craig for Casino Royale, and I'm kind of happy he didn't get it. If they want to go with a bigger name, I feel like he's a good one to go with. That, or this is my personal pick. After, I think Cavill is second, and then first we got Idris Elba. He's 49, so he's a bit up there in age. Not saying that is a bad thing. 6'2", and he's English. So I think he's a perfect fit for Bond. Here, Cavill, I think, are my two front runners. And I don't think either of them are going to get it in the end because they're too well known. Then, I got a ringer here that I threw in. Michael B. Jordan, 34, 6 feet, American. They're probably not going to do with an American because, once again, he's for Secret Service. So I don't think they're going to pick an American. But I wanted to throw one ringer in there. Then I got the guy who's going to be in Eternals. I haven't seen him really, but I've been hearing a lot of buzz about him. And looking at him in a suit and everything, he looks like he could pull it off. Richard Madden, 35, 5'10", and Scottish. I think it'd be kind of a cool way to go because, well, there hasn't been a Scottish Bond since Sean Connery. I think he'd be a good fit in the end. So, I think Richard Madden would work. Then I got Robert Pattinson, 6'1", and 35, English. I think he's a good fit as well. I think he's a little too indie for Bond, though. So, I don't know about him. Then we got Tom Hardy, 44, 5'9", and English. He's another one of those front runners that, people are picking overall. Then I got Tom Hiddleston, 40, 6'2", and English. So I'm going to rank these ones by who I think should be the first. So I think it should be Idris Elba, Henry Cavill, Tom Hiddleston, Richard Madden, Tom Hardy, Robert Pattinson, and Michael B. Jordan was my ringer. I would like him to be higher, but I don't think he's going to get it at all. So, who do you think is going to be the next Bond? Tell me in the comments below. What is your favorite James Bond movie? Tell me in the comments below. This was a longer video, so, like I said, have you seen No Time to Die? Tell me what you think in the comments below. What's your favorite James Bond movie, and who do you think should be the next Bond? Tell me all that in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, hit that bell icon, and have a far off night.